Hey everyone, welcome. Happy whatever day it is. Thursday. Happy Thursday. And this is my third and final day to talk about staying out of victimhood. I have three more tips for you on how to stay out of victimhood, and I focus on this. It's such a big topic, and one of the reasons why I focus on it is because when we were young, when we were dependent on the adults around us to keep us safe, hard things happened. And these hard things that happened, they scared us, they made us feel powerless, and they created a state of feeling like there's something wrong in our world, and it created some fear in us. And this fear, for so many of us, it never healed. And it stayed in us, and it stayed in our cells, and it stayed in our brain pattern, and it kept happening. Other things reinforced that brain pattern over and over and over again, especially when in the early years when we were dependent on the adults around us to keep us safe. And then what happened is that the brain patterns kept happening over and over again, where we got scared, things got hard, we got scared, people didn't protect us, they didn't take care of us, they didn't help us heal, they didn't help us recover, they didn't help us feel empowered. And so it got myelinated. That's what it's called when things happen faster and it happens more often, and it just makes that pattern happen over and over and over again. So then we get stuck in like feeling like a victim, and we can't seem to get through that feeling of like, oh, I feel like a victim. And so I want to share with you three more ways to help yourself stay out of victimhood. And because it's so important for us, one of the ways we get out is we're able to think well, we're able to feel empowered. Part of it is just we create a new perception, we create a new reality, and in that new reality is how we get out of the circumstances that are causing us to feel like a victim in the first place. So powerful. So I'm so passionate about this. So the three ways today, the first one is to design your future self exactly how you would like to be. Think about, well, if I didn't have this circumstance, if I had different circumstances, how would I want to be? How would I want to live my life? What would I want to do in the morning? How would I want my mornings to look? How would I want my afternoons to look? How would I want the evenings to look? And how would I want my late evening to look? How would I want all of these things to look in my life? And you start acting that way. And maybe you can't do all of them, but you act that way. And what's really important to think about too is when you get triggered, when you're having a low day or when you're having a hard time, what are the things you turn to? What are the triggers and what are the things you turn to? And you start to shift those things. Find something else that's healthy to turn to. That's important. And notice your triggers and start to do something different during those triggers as well. Not easy work. I totally get that. And I'm saying this because I've done that work. And so I'm not just like giving blind advice to people. I'm saying it because it's totally possible to think differently about things. And so, who is your future self? When you are your authentic true self, who are you? I mean, that's really the way I think of it anyway, is when I'm in my authenticity, who am I? And I look at the moments in my life when I've been like that. How do I become more of that? When I am free and I'm full of love and I'm giving and I'm kind and I'm supporting people, like those are the things that I love to do and I'm passionate about. Do those things. Show up in those ways. If I am living my ideal life, I spend an hour in the morning and I just do meditation and gratitude and I support myself in that way. When I exercise, like those are the things. I do that now. Those are the things that I do because that's who I am and that's what I love. So think about your future self, who you would want to be if you had the ideal situation for your life, and start to do as many of the things you possibly can, but get very specific about that. That's number one. Number two is to allow the guilt and the negativity and the negative emotions and the victimhood to melt away. And I know that's easier said than done, but here's how I think of it, and this is what I'm hoping to help you through. It's just a brain pattern. You know how I talked about these are hard things that happened when you were children, when we were a child, And it just was a reinforced brain pattern. And so if you think of it that way, rather than a flaw in your character, because that's the way we're pretty much taught, is there's something wrong with you or there's a flaw in your character. If you can start to think of it differently so that you can understand that there's nothing wrong with you, it's just a brain pattern due to the experiences you've had in life, that you can learn to separate who you really are from the brain pattern. And when you can separate that, you can start to look at the brain pattern as, I'm just going to let you melt away. I'm going to give you a different brain pattern. I'm going to give you a different experience. And I'm not going to feed you anymore, right? It's sort of like, I don't know what, it's the Rocky Mountain Horror Show. Feed me, Seymour, feed me. I don't know why I'm thinking about that, but it's kind of like what you feed, you become, right? And so when we get more aware, when we become more aware of what's happening in our life and how we function and what our patterns are, we can learn what we want to feed and what we don't want to feed. And so that's part of what I do is I say to myself, well, I'm not going to feed that anymore. That's not who I want to be in my future version of myself. And I'm just not going to feed that brain pattern anymore. I'm going to give it something else instead. I'm going to give it love. I'm going to give it compassion. I'm going to give it a higher frequency. So thinking about how these patterns of victimhood and guilt and feeling bad about ourselves are very low vibrations. So I shift my vibration. I go into gratitude. I move my body. There's all these tools that you learn on my Facebook page and in other Facebook pages, and I can guide you to other places you can learn more tools. But I love these things because they've made a massive, massive difference in my life. And so shifting your frequency away from low frequency thoughts and feelings into higher frequency thoughts and feelings, love and compassion for yourself and kindness towards yourself and others, and just letting those things melt away, because we can separate ourselves away from those things that those feelings of victimhood. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to focus on the process and understand that it is just a stage of your life. So what tends to happen is that we have these negative thoughts and feelings. We feel like a victim, and then we pile on top of that the meaning of, oh God, I still haven't figured this out. Oh God, I'm still in this place. Hi, Olga. Oh gosh, I can't believe that I'm here again. I can't believe I haven't figured this out yet. I can't believe that I'm eating a whole bag of chocolate again. I can't believe that I'm binge watching Netflix. I can't believe that I'm doing this again. Like all these patterns that you have, you can get yourself out of those things and just recognize that it's just a process. And that's helped me so much and so many of my clients too. I love that you said hello, Olga. It's helped my clients to be able to shift away from feeling like the results are everything, feeling like that what you're doing in this moment is everything, because it's really not. What really matters, hey Sarah, I haven't seen you for so long, it's nice to have you here. What really matters is that you recognize the process, that you're in the middle of a process. And you know what? You're not going to get it right every time. You're just not. And that's okay. It's okay to not get 100 on your process exam. It's okay to just okay, that didn't happen today, but I'm aware of it. And even the fact of being aware of what happened and the process that you're in, that you went back into victimhood, and that, oh, it didn't work this time, but you're very aware of it, is huge. It's huge, huge, huge. That's a step forward still. Building awareness is a step forward. So you are still moving forward. It doesn't matter what the pace is. You don't have to evaluate your process. Just know that you're in a process and that you are moving forward because you recognize the process. And it's okay, whatever that looks like. Sometimes the process looks like this, up and down, right? It doesn't just go like this. Like, that's my experience anyway. I tend to go like this with my process. Or I go like this and then woo, way down and then up again. and it's okay that happens. We don't evaluate the process. We just know we're in it, and we just keep like, okay, here's what happened. And that's part of that separation piece too. You don't have to, and we don't evaluate it, so we don't start to think, oh, I'm a bad person. I'm not good at this. I can't do this. This isn't working for me. Those are not helpful. So you have to take evaluation out of it. So these are super powerful ways that you can stay out of victimhood, because it's so important that if we want to grow our lives, if we want to be our authentic selves, if we want to be our true selves, then we can, this is one piece of it, is to stay out of victimhood, to be able to do that. So as a recap, the 3 things we talked about today are to design your future self, to stay out of victimhood, and you work towards becoming more and more of that person, your authentic true self and who that person is, and you do the specific things that that person would do until you become it. 2 is to allow the sense of victimhood and guilt and ill emotion to go away. You just recognize it as a pattern. You separate yourself from it because your authentic self doesn't need that pattern. And you allow yourself to start working on the pattern. And number 3 is to not evaluate how well you're doing. Just allow yourself to keep progressing. Sometimes progress takes a long time. That's okay. We have lots of compassion for ourselves in that process. And we just focus that it's a process in itself. That's an important piece too. It's just a process. And we make as much progress as we are ready for. And maybe sometimes we don't make a lot of progress because we don't have a lot of support. That's one thing that can slow us down. It's not your fault. And so we just keep moving forward and forward and forward, which is a beautiful thing. And we can move away from victimhood into empowerment. And that's a beautiful place to be. And these are all, so I've given you 3 things on 3 different days. If you want to do a search for the 3 different things, you can do that. The 3 different days where I've given 3 different ideas, high D, on how to stay out of victimhood. They're all extremely powerful and exercises that you can do, very specific things that you can do to really support yourself and moving into a greater life, moving into a more abundant life, moving into a truer version of yourself. So thank you, everyone. It's so beautiful to be here with you, and I'm so happy you were here. Thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful, amazing day. Share this with others. Let me know your experience. Sarah says this is exactly what I tell one of my students. I told him that he has to work on the magic, and he has no support. I know that can be an issue for sure, but and I can't see no support except me. Go away from victimhood is the secret. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thanks for the work, and thank you for supporting your student. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a beautiful, amazing day. Bye.